Hi, Clayton. Quick question. Can you talk about some of the resources that are out on the internet available to kind of research markets and figure out what markets I could kind of look into? I'm already in one market in the US and want to kind of look at different options to kind of diversify. And I want to learn of some tools available that I could kind of take a look at different markets and or states in the US that I could build my real estate portfolio. Thank you.
Sure, Max. I mean, there's a lot of different resources, but let me give you the framework first before you just start blindly going to the internet searching for different news articles about different real estate markets. Because when you do a Google search for like best real estate markets, they're going to be written by people like CNBC and big news organizations that are not investors, and they're not writing about investment. What they're writing about is primary home markets where people are going to live in these homes as a primary retail market. For instance, like Boise, Idaho. Boise, Idaho is a great town, but I would never invest there, right? It's a great family home market. It was one of the hottest markets in 2021, but I'm never going to invest in properties in Boise. Way overpriced. The ROI doesn't make any sense at all. But if you're reading an article from like CNBC, they're going to talk about the top hottest home markets. Ignore those articles. Those are not for you and me as real estate investors. They do not meet our criteria at all. Okay, so let me just put that out there. But let me give you the framework. Now, I've got full videos here on our YouTube channel and on our podcast. You can go through our archives here on our podcast, and we'll link it up in the description of this video as well, so you can access the playlist that we have on identifying best real estate markets. So, Max, I would encourage you to go watch those videos, because where we lay it out specifically, I'll go in more depth in those videos. And we actually show you home examples. We show you numbers. We show you walkthrough videos of different markets. So watch those videos. But let me just give you a framework of what we look for in a market. Now, my company, Morris Invest, our team on the ground, we will not go into a market and start building new construction properties until all of these things are met. All of these pieces of criteria are met, okay? Number one, we want to make sure that there's low crime. Okay, so low crime, where do you look for that? You can look on local police websites. You can look on, you can also read local newspapers, police blotters. Okay, local newspapers have police blotters where they categorize the types of crimes that are being committed. That's one thing you can do if you want to go in depth about it. You're going to read about people breaking into cars and things like that. You can also read FBI's website for different crime statistics in different states and towns. Okay, all of those things contribute to the data. And then you can make phone calls. You can get on the phone and call local police departments, call local property management companies in particular towns that you identify to see what the crime levels look like. Because a lot of the crime statistics are going to be based on zip codes, and zip codes often blend a lot of neighborhoods that might not necessarily be joined together just because they happen to be in the same numbered postal zip code. Remember, postal zip codes are not necessarily like broken down by neighborhoods. What I'm saying is it's kind of an arbitrary numbering system. And so very often you can actually have a zip code that's deceiving by its crime statistics. So you got to be very, very careful about that. There's some good internet resources for that. Again, a few that I just mentioned. But overall, we want crime to be low and dropping. Okay. So like, for instance, where we build our new construction properties in West Texas and other areas, all of this criteria has been met. And we'll spend over a year analyzing a market before we ever enter that market, okay? So crime. Next is jobs, Max. We want to make sure that jobs are growing, not leaving. Very, very important. And with jobs, we want to make sure that there's a diversity of jobs there, not just one oil refinery or one super Walmart. We want universities. We want auto manufacturing. We want a whole different range of jobs so that if auto manufacturing suddenly leaves, the whole town doesn't go dead, which is what happened. I mean, look through the Rust Belt. Look. All you need to do is like go into like rural Ohio, or look at some of these towns where one manufacturer leaves and the whole town is decimated. We don't want that, and we don't want to invest there. So where we build our properties are in university areas, where universities, healthcare systems, so additional hospitals. Hospitals aren't going to China. Hospitals are staying in the United States. That's one thing you can't outsource, right? Yet anyway, right? So hospitals, universities, oil discovery and collection, engineering, all sorts of jobs. So we want job growth, population increase, not decrease. We also want great school districts. So we only now build our houses in great school districts. Why? Well, makes sense, right? Parents are going to want to move there for their children to be in these great school districts. So we would much rather be in these great school districts, pay a little bit more in property taxes, but you're getting the benefit of tenants that want to stay a long time. Okay, they're going to stay there through, graduation. So we want to be in school districts that are top notch. Okay, so again, low crime, population growth, diversity of jobs, good school districts. Then more broadly, Max, I want to make sure that I'm in landlord friendly states. There are a lot of states that are not landlord friendly. Avoid at all costs investing in California or a lot of the blue states. I'm going to tell you right now, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, stay away. You do not want to be investing in these blue states that have very onerous regulations. Makes it very difficult as a landlord to have to evict a tenant who hasn't paid for a year. I mean, it's ridiculous what you have to go through. Hiring a lawyer in New Jersey to evict a tenant who hasn't paid, specifically because they knew they could work the system. We've had that experience. California is the worst. So avoid some of these states that are not landlord friendly. Texas is the number one landlord friendly state in the country. Indiana, as of last year's statistics, was also landlord friendly. However, crime has skyrocketed in Indiana, Indianapolis, and those areas. So that's an area that I'm not investing in. So again, you have to weigh these things. Also, Ohio has seen skyrocketing in certain parts of Ohio. You've seen skyrocketing crime and jobs leaving. So you have to weigh all of these things. Yes, it might be landlord friendly in Indiana, but crime is growing in parts of that state. Jobs are leaving. So again, not an area that I would want to be investing in. So Texas, again, top of the list. You have other areas like Tennessee and other places that are also very landlord friendly. That means that they make no bones about letting you evict a tenant if a tenant is not paying in that property. They'll be it won't take very long. Let me just put it that way. And there's a whole other range of things that we look at. We want to make sure that property managers in these particular areas are top notch. So we only work with the best property managers. Have they been in business for 5 years or longer? Do they have great software that they communicate with their tenants? How do they screen their tenants? Do they do criminal background checks, employment checks, all of those things? So Max, those are just a few of the things I'm looking at. Okay. But again, then you can use local resources in those areas to look at local school grading system to see how the school fares. Is it an A school, B school, et cetera? You can look at the jobs that are coming in, look at the Chamber of Commerce website, look at other job growth statistics from those states on their websites, and you can see these things moving into this area. So I would just combine a lot of that, U.S. Census data, FBI website, crime statistics locally from the local sheriff's department, population growth. Again, all of those things are kind of going to go into your soup to decide where you're going to start investing. Again, that's what we look at before we ever even start thinking about building a foundation of properties in those areas. Before we buy land, before we start building a subdivision, all of those things are important to us at Morris Invest. So I hope you find that helpful. If you would like to jump into real estate investing and you are ready to take that plunge, book a call with our team. It's totally free. We'll walk you through what it looks like. We'll help you navigate your financial future, and we'll kind of help you build a roadmap over the year for you. You might not be able to invest yet. That's okay, because maybe 2 years from now, we'll be able to start helping you. And, better now to start laying that groundwork. Again, go to morrisinvest.com and click on the microphone button there so you can leave us a 30-second voicemail question, anything that's on your mind about real estate investing, and we will attempt to answer it here on the show. So let's make this 2022 just a killer year, guys. Let's rock it. No excuses. Put one foot in front of the other, and let's take action. Become a real estate investor. I believe it's the number one way to build wealth. We'll see you next time, everyone.